Hey everyone, Kevin here. I've recently been vocal about my job search on LinkedIn and have really taken the time to outline things that I have noticed since embarking on this journey. So today, I wanted to take some time and go through a handful of my job search pet peeves. And there are plenty to choose from, to say the least. There are many that clearly frustrate applicants and make people wonder why we're still doing things that are harder or at least more annoying for job seekers. In our current layoff climate, I thought this topic to be a wise one to go over, so let's get started. Number one, applications that can't parse my resume. It has become incredibly tiresome having to constantly input every single word into an application that's just a carbon copy of what's on my resume because the company system couldn't do it automatically like it should be able to at this point. I actually posted on LinkedIn about this a while back, and it certainly got some attention from those who are likewise annoyed by this particular problem. In that post, I stated that it isn't 1995 anymore and that modern systems should be able to parse my resume correctly, which I still stand by now. It's such a waste of time and effort ultimately that I shouldn't have to spend in this day and age, especially considering that we might waste an hour, 2 hours doing that and then get that computerized message saying that we've been rejected the very same day. Or even worse, never get a response at all and just be ghosted. So it's just a waste of time all around. Number two, hearing the questions of why do you want this job and why did you leave your last job? Both of those questions are honestly poor ones to ask an applicant. The first is just far too open ended, frankly, and the other is not really anyone's business but my own. While one could say that it is their dream company or job and that they want to grow their skills while filling that role, when it comes down to it, we want a job to pay the bills and put food on the table. That's no secret, and we shouldn't have to lie about it with some flowery language. As for why I left my last job, what difference does it make anyway? It doesn't change my ability to do the job that you are interviewing me for, does it? For instance, I left teaching officially for, quote, personal reasons, but I have been fairly transparent about why I actually left in these videos. I still contend, too, that none of those personal reasons have changed my skill and expertise while an instructional designer either, and I could have kept them private if I wanted to. So please just stop asking the question. It's no one's business. Moving on to number three, requiring an enormous level of experience and skills without the compensation to back it up. This one has always been high on the list for me personally because I routinely see so many postings with absurd qualification levels, degree requirements, years of experience, etc., and then they provide virtually no time off and a salary that barely meets what an entry level worker would make in that field. You can't pay the unicorn you're looking for in your posting an unlivable wage. If you want someone with 10 years experience and a master's degree, then you better be prepared to pay adequately for that and not skimp on salary, or else they'll just go someplace else. And speaking of money, by the way, number four, another pet peeve is not listing the salary in the posting either. There has been a massive backlash against this one in recent years too, and rightly so. We need to know if the money we would be getting in that job would be enough to cover our expenses and standard of living, because if it doesn't, then why would we bother applying and wasting our time in the first place? Back in January of 2023, the salary range disclosure law went into effect here in California, which mandates employers post salary ranges on all active job postings. But that only applies to companies with more than 15 employees. So it isn't a perfect solution, especially for those under that number of workers, but it's an important start to rectifying this problem and one that I hope we adopt with time for all postings. And finally, number five, labeling a job as remote, but finding out later that it isn't. This one constantly angers me and is basically outright lying on the part of the company. I have read far too many applications where they claim to be remote at the top, and then if you scroll down to the bottom, it says 25% travel is needed or that you need to come in the office twice a week. Well, guess what? That isn't remote. Even worse, when they change it completely later on and suddenly say, Oh, it's in person now, and expect that you will just ignore that and do the job anyway because you're desperate. But we won't, because we know what we want. Stop trying to appeal to the desire for remote work and then pulling the rug out from underneath us. It only angers applicants and turns people away from your company in the long run, which won't do you or the applicant any good. So stop doing that. It's either remote or it isn't. Now, by all means, there are far more pet peeves out there for applicants and more that I could name just off the top of my head. But those are the worst ones that I've seen going on right now and ones that need to be changed quickly. When it comes to looking for a job, we all just want a straightforward, efficient, and respectful process. We want simplicity and things which make the process simpler because we've already been so bogged down trying to find a new place for us. All I ask is if we could be somewhere halfway on that, every little bit will make applicants happier and increase the likelihood that good, hardworking people end up at your company, which is ultimately the ideal, isn't it? But I think that's it for today. As always, I'm here to help with anything you may need, so let me know if you have any questions. For now, though, see you next time.